Good afternoon. My name is Alan Alford, and I'm with Fighting for Our Heroes Foundation. Today I have Lance Corporal Johnny Rodriguez with us, and he was a Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps. And basically, we wanted to sit and have a discussion today about everything that's happened in Johnny's life since his military service, and basically everything that's gone on. And with that, I'd basically like to turn it over to you, and I'd just like to start it off with a question. If you could sit and talk with another service member or veteran about everything that you've been through. I mean, I know your story myself, which is why I'd really like to share it with the world. If you could talk to another young soldier or service member or veteran uh, about everything that you've been through in life since your military service, what would you want to tell
Well, for me, it was something terrifying when I first got out and completely did not understand. I was shell shocked. I was out with injuries that I didn't understand. I was in denial and not having anyone to reach out to, no one to talk to. I was lost. So I come out of the Corps with injuries, hurt, needing someone, but didn't go for help, didn't do anything. I just pretty much continued to live life like that with my injuries and not understanding who I've become. And with that, it became something dark immediately. It turned me into a downward spiral. I didn't have anyone to reach out to. If I talked to a civilian, they weren't going to understand what's taken in my head or why was I acting the way I did. I was lost. I was just, here's your paperwork and you're gone.
which is very common. I always looked at it and said, you know what, the military spends, X amount of time sending you to boot camp, then AIT, then when you're not at war, you're doing nothing but training 24 hours a day, and everything in life is nothing more than training. But when you go to get out, what do they give you? A week's worth of training in how to become a civilian again, and basically there's a big disconnect that you'd spend years heading in one direction and only hours and days moving in another. So it's very common. I mean, I'm just going to
Yeah.
put that out there.
Especially nowadays.
Right. So, basically, would you like to talk about what happened after you got out of service and everything that you went through? Because this is an amazing story. It's pretty amazing what you've been through.
Well, I found myself and surrounded and hugged by anger, confusion. I didn't know what was going on in my life. I didn't have any goals. I was so full of hatred and anger to what happened to me. I didn't know how to understand it. People around me didn't know what was going on. I got into this place. No one understood me, so I built a wall that was so thick, I don't even think a 50 caliber could have penetrated. And I lost myself. Looking for that brotherhood, looking for that camaraderie, looking to find another brother, that I didn't have. I ended up making some horrible decisions, just looking for that love and to have someone that I can share with, my buddy, and I didn't have that out here. Again, I didn't understand the pain, the agony, the depression, like everything hurt, and I ended up choosing the wrong people to believe in, to find. I got sidetracked. I became a monster, a savage animal, and lost touch of who I was as a human being, lost touch of what a Marine is supposed to be, and I became egotistic, selfish, and started drinking completely heavily. I didn't understand anything, and I shut myself down.
It sounds like you had a mentality to go in this direction because that's what you had always been programmed to do, and how to react when there's kind of a mentality of there's no problem in this world that violence can't fix. That's kind of a common, I mean, I've heard that from several other veterans over the years, and I mean, the reality is that's kind of what you're taught is there's no problem in this world that violence can't fix. And when you go through that, and basically then you get dumped out in this civilian world, it's hard to process that, which is why things tend to go out downhill.
Mm-hmm.
What was your life like for the first several years after you got home?
I wouldn't say I was violent, abusive. I lost touch of who I was, and therefore I wasn't making right decisions. The only thing that kept me going was, the Marine Corps. One of the greatest gifts it gave me was the will to fight.
Right.
And I depended on my violence. I depended on my anger, and I depended completely on my selfishness. So I started taking jobs where I would fight. So I started doing bouncing, security here and there, whatever it took. I was selling myself for $50 a night to whoever would pay it. And it was just because that's the only way that I found myself alive. I found myself more alive confronting death than happy within myself. I wasn't happy. And in that life, the booze, the alcohol, the drugs, just that living, not caring about anything. I didn't care whether I died or whether I lived. And that's a very horrible way to live. And, I sure got burned. I paid the price.
So at what point did things start to turn around and change for you?
Well, I had to literally hit rock bottom. And I had to learn that life wasn't about me. I'm not the only one with problems and issues. And in reality, it took me to get run over, hit by a car in one of my nights bouncing. And in the beginning of January of 2008, and that's when I said, I am done with this life. Drugs, alcohol, that not trusting anyone, anger. That is no way to live. And I slowly wanted it to change, but I didn't know how to get back to be normal, and that was a struggle in itself. I started in '08 to change, get out of that lifestyle, become more productive towards society, and decided to start getting treatment. And I would never reach out to ask for help because of pride. I would never.
Pride will kill you sometimes. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Sometimes it takes the strongest men oftentimes has to be willing to show his weakness. I mean,
very true.
Just between you and I mean, it seems like sometimes people get so self-consumed with pride that they are willing to not do what they need to do to make themselves a better person. I mean, as you said, you had a day where you realize, I need to get into counseling. I need to work at changing life. I mean, how do you feel that's worked out? How do you think that that's been going?
Well, being that I've been constant with it, not only that, but seeing, like I said, seeing that it was hard because at first you want to do it. And there's the thing, you want to do it, but you don't have the will to do it. And then if you do, you only do a certain amount of good. And slowly and carefully, if you don't watch out, you could easily go back to that.
Yeah, it's a slide.
Yeah. And, I fell to it a couple of times. By any way means necessary, am I saying that I am perfect? But
I mean, one of us it is.
Yeah, but I choose to try and be the best that I can. And understanding what I have was the biggest thing for me. Going to the treatment, asking for help, saying that it's okay. I have PTSD. I suffer from my injuries, and that's fine. And what I chose to do with that is to move forward, continue training, had a normal life, but hitting rock bottom for me was losing everything. Losing everything that I had worked for, that I was trying to change. And then I try to find a way to change to a normal life, I believe in 2009, but I couldn't completely change because like what I call the beast was still pulling me. I didn't know how to act completely this way. And like I said, for me, it was just one thing after the other that just kept on happening. Um, I was in an amazing relationship and, I lost my woman. I'm an awesome, amazing girl. Things were just happening and I lost my place. I was almost homeless and I had nowhere to go, losing my mind, trying to get help, trying to focus. And the minx of all that for me, personally speaking, I reached out and I said, I was an atheist. I didn't believe on my breath. And, I just reached out one day and I said, for as long as I've been doing it wrong. My way is wrong. And
Thomas Edison once said, I found 1,000 ways to make a light bulb not work, but once I finally made it work one time, it changed the world.
yes. And for me, that's how it worked. I needed to ground myself to my beliefs, to hold on to the values, that I have learned, not only from the Marine Corps, but from my parents, from growing up. And this wasn't the kid, I wasn't who I was, but I knew that I wanted to be. And like I said, one day I said, the way that I'm doing this, I've had it. I'm no longer living like this. I can't go on living like this.
I know that we've discussed this at length before. Do you feel that the people around you, what you put into your body is what you get out of your body? I mean, and the people that you surround yourself with, positive influences versus negative influences, going with counseling, sticking with counseling, and all of the different changes that you made in life, going from an atheist to starting to go to church, all of these things, you feel, what's the impact that you feel that it's had on you? Because honestly, you're an amazing man. I mean, I love you to death. You're a great guy, and I look at it and go, I mean, I couldn't even imagine what you were like when you were going through all that. And I understand what it's like to, just so you know, I understand what it's like when my first year or two out of service, I really didn't want to leave my house. I got it. It's a huge adjustment to go through, even under good circumstances, let alone bad circumstances. But do you feel that the changes that you started making in your life have really helped out a lot?
From an atheist to coming again being a Christian and just following beliefs and the positivity that I found through God has completely changed my life for the best. All of a sudden, like I said, battling through all these things where instead of falling apart, when I was at my worst and falling apart is when I was doing my best.
Right.
It's when I got up and said, that is it. I spend too much time on nothing. So therefore I got nothing. I've lost it all. I was losing my place.
That's how we met.
You
were going through one of those really hard times
and
in your
I
life
reached out.
When another veteran gave you my
Yes.
number, and we basically got together. I know we met under pretty bad circumstances.
That's another good story.
Oh, hey, for another day. But we met under some really harsh circumstances. But I also looked at it and tried to point out to you that, the things that you're going through life, they have expiration dates on them.
Yeah.
And how you handle it is how it kind of defines you. And I look at it and say, you know what? I remember we first time we met, it was a very, very hard day. But you know what? Do you feel you're in a better spot now?
Oh, from that moment on, and through, like I said, through putting back the morals and values and God back into my life, and stopping the selfishness, stopping the ego, stopping the pride, I reached out for help. I admitted that I needed help, and through that in itself, I didn't end up homeless. I actually upgraded. to where I live at now.
Beautiful place.
Thank you, thank you. And my dog since then has been registered. I've served as dog for my PTSD. We live in harmony and in peace, you know. I also have wanted to do different. I want to, one of my biggest things that I want to do for 2013 is if I could reach out, or if someone see it, you know, I've been through it. I've been through it. I mean, in many ways. And finding someone and reaching out, it's okay. It doesn't make you a weak man, because it's helped me come a long way, because it wasn't for me to do alone. It's taken everybody that I've come in contact with in my life, you know, especially now in these days, to help build who I've become and what I plan to become, because I plan on going further.
Right. You know, I think it's really ironic you said that, because, you know, I've always had a simple premise in working with veterans. I've used this statement with, I know that I've told it to you in the past. I tell it to every veteran I've ever worked with, actually. You know, at the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a statesman stood up by the name of Benjamin Franklin. He stood up and said, "We shall all hang together, or assuredly we shall all hang separately." Meaning that you and I are going to hang together and get through this together, or else we will all hang from trees, because they'll pick us off like flies in life. And that's kind of a philosophy that I've always tried to live by in working with vets, that, you know what, you're right, you're down. The day that we met, let's just call it what it is, we were at your bottom. My job's to help pick you up, because now you can pick up another person and you can help me do that. And do that over and over again. And to be honest with you, I mean, you're an amazing man. And I look at you and see the growth that you're going through, and you know, the changes that you've made in your life, and basically how you started in one place. But there's plenty of people I've met that didn't have that growth, and they stayed in that spot the rest of their lives. I look at it and say, hey, you're trying. You said it yourself. You're not perfect, but name one of us that is. By keeping working at it and staying committed to it, though, staying in the counseling, you know, doing what we have to do to get to that better spot is pretty much, it's one thing to go through problems. It's an entirely another thing to let those problems define you. And I look at it and say, when I think of you, I think that yes, there were problems, but it didn't define who you became. And I look at it and say, that's why I'm proud of you. That's why we're sitting here, because I know what you've gone through. And I look at it and say, where you started is nowhere near where you're ending at. So, anything else you'd like to say?
I mean, it's just like, if for the people or veterans, you know, the biggest thing that I would have to say for them, understand that you're not alone. You're not alone. You know, but it takes courage to come up and ask for help. I know about it, because
See how big you are.
you know, it took a lot. But you know something? That first step marks the beginning of your journey. And to anybody, any veteran, anybody in general, if you look at a bad situation and you let it consume you and you let it take you away, that's exactly what it's going to do. But if you look at it dead in the eye and you say, you're not beating me, I choose to move forward, you will. Ask for help. Reach out for it. It's there. It helped me, and it's taken me to where I'm going. I mean, I'm no celebrity or anything like that, but it's made me a better man. It's made me a better human. It's made me a better father. And, you know, one day is going to help me become a better lover, a better just human being in general. And regardless of my injuries, regardless of my PTSD, you know, I have to be thankful that I'm alive. I'm here. And one of my biggest things is to move forward and help other veterans. And if they can be helped through seeing this, you know, believe me, it works. And it's worked for me, a person who was egotistic, selfish, didn't believe in his own breath. And here I am trying to make a difference no matter where I go, whether it's outside, on the market, anywhere. anywhere that I'm at, I try to make a difference. So instead of remembering me for the crazy things or my mistakes, you could say, you know what, no matter what that guy went through, he still finished on top because he chose to.
Life is a work in progress.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in and sitting down with us and talking, all right?
Thank you. My pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Semper Fi.
Yes, sir.